Dzień dobry. Witamy na ostatnim panelu tegorocznej edycji CU. Zrobię krótkie wprowadzenie po polsku, a później przełączę się na tryb angielski, ponieważ cała rozmowa będzie w języku angielskim. Od zeszłego roku, dzięki współpracy z Instytutem Adama Mickiewicza, mamy okazję na CU zapraszać gości z zagranicy, ponieważ w zasadzie od samego początku, jeśli program muzyczny koncentruje się na trójmiejskiej scenie, na lokalności, na tym, co fajnego dzieje się w Gdańsku, Gdyni, Sopocie i okolicach, to w programie dyskusyjnym zawsze sobie stawiamy za misję o tym, żeby wychodzić szerzej poza tematy i żeby trochę, co też zresztą się dzieje i fajnie jest to obserwować co roku, żeby rozmawiać z zespołami, z menadżerami, z przedstawicielami agencji koncertowych o tym, jak z muzyką wychodzić szerzej, ale też diagnozować pewne problemy, które są obecne nie tylko w Trójmieście. No i właśnie dzięki współpracy z Instytutem Adama Mickiewicza i dzięki Michałowi Hajdukowi, którego tutaj nie widzę, ale wiem, że jest, bo przed chwilą go widziałem. A, jest po środku. Smacznego. Michał też ma dofinansowanie na ciasto. Mamy okazję zaprosić gości z zagranicy i porozmawiać dzisiaj o takim temacie, który wydaje nam się ważny, czyli zazwyczaj spotykamy się na festiwalach, żeby posłuchać muzyki, żeby się pobawić, ale też festiwale mają jakieś, naszym zdaniem, swoje funkcje odpowiedzialności społecznej. I teraz jest ten moment, że zmieniam język. So the main idea was to invite you to speak about some social issues, social topics, the responsibility of music ecosystem. And I would like to introduce our guest, BODNÁROVÁ from Pohoda Festival. Miran Rusjan from Ment Lubiana. Elina Kalnibalchkoja, sorry, from Belarusian Council for Culture. So we have two representatives of the festival, one representative of non-government organization which take care about culture. I will introduce them more or I will ask them to introduce them more in a few minutes. But at the beginning, I would like to ask you, like the main question, what social responsibility in music means for you in general?
I can start because I think coming from the Council for Culture, which is not just about music, but more overall about culture, I think that this social responsibility is not only for the musical sphere, but for culture as a whole, because culture is a sustaining force behind democracy, identity, and so many things, which are crucial for survival of people. So here we're talking about how culture overall can have this impact on the society. And yeah, you can continue about the music sphere.
No, I generally think that there isn't such a thing as a social responsibility of the music business. It's our social responsibility, and for me, the values I have and which I believe in are affecting every aspect of my life, and that includes my work. So I cannot imagine doing something that wouldn't have an element where I am thinking about the social responsibility. And I think like culture is a great place to do that, because we can not only think about how we would like to have the music industry organized to be socially responsible, but also how we can have an impact on the general social responsibility.
Yeah, and maybe I will just add that the music itself, it doesn't exist in a bubble. So basically, and like we as a festival or record label or the artist, we have our audience in a way. I mean, the people who follow us in a way, and we have a voice, so we can use it to, you know, spread the message or just, yeah, make people alert about something. So we should use it, and I guess that's the responsibility of all of us.
And were there any particular moment when you realize or decide but by what you are doing that you can have this impact? Because, you know, sometimes it starts from punk zines, sometimes it starts from some artists who spread some word from the stage or some community actions. And I'm curious now, speaking more about of what you are doing, where do you remember where this moment or how it came to you that, for example, you can, by organizing some cultural events, you can do something for a change, social change?
Yeah, for me, when it happened, I don't know, when I'm coming from a DIY, punk rock, hardcore background, so basically I think being alert and being social aware of things that is, and being outspoken about it, it was part of my youth in a way, and it's still like I don't know, since it was part of me in the formative years, let's say, it's still kind of in my denk, or how you say it. So basically, it's still connected in everything I do also now. So basically, it goes way back, and also like you do things not because you're not calculating, but it comes from you natural that you're aware about things, that you're curious about things, that you're like basically alert and outspoken.
And is it easy, like, because when you're doing some grassroots or DIY things, for me, it's much more easier because you don't have this formal organization, or you can do, if you had an idea, like now you can do it something in 15 minutes. Is it easy, like when you have some organization, like for example, Ment or label, when you work with other people, and how do you see the differences, like comparing this, you know, punk things, punk DIY things to you know, organizing festival and then doing something?
I mean, like if it's part of organization, then maybe, or maybe it's also connected with the age. Like when you're young, you see, I would say, like maybe the world is more black and white than when you get older. So so nowadays maybe you see more nuances. I mean, like the things are more complex in a way, and also yeah, maybe you search the different solutions. But I think like maybe yeah, if you're part of organization, it's maybe not only you deciding on things, but you have to discuss things internally within a team, and then kind of, you know, maybe not everyone agrees with some things, and then you have to come to like a common. But luckily I would say like at Ment Ljubljana, we are kind of pretty much on the similar, let's say, mindset, so it's usually. Yeah, but we discuss a lot internally, and then the outcome is kind of so that's maybe the difference. But as a being more in the you just speak it out.
Alina, Barbara?
Yeah, I think like all of us here come from the side of culture and music that couldn't really be described as a music business. So over there it might, you know, so that's the basic difference, you know, when you are talking about money or if you are talking about values. But I think that we all come more from a side where we talk about values. And crazy thing, I am trained political scientist. So this always like, as I said before, you know, values are something that are really important in my life, and I don't think that life actually exists without the involvement in civil society. So I think it's very, very natural, and I'm lucky that I can work for a major Slovak festival that actually is based on many values I believe in, and I think I need to have it like this in my own life. But I came from an NGO sector. Shortly after school, I was engaged in many projects that were dealing with youth radicalization. And over there, it's a little bit different. So it's not like I work in music business and at one point I saw that I can influence the society. But from the other side, I could have seen how working with young generation, you can impact their life with music. So I did a lot of trainings where you actually use music to de-radicalize youth, and it's working like magic.
For us, I think it was never about culture or music as entertainment. We always try to use it as a tool of promoting the language, because it's a big deal in Belarus, and to tell the stories that are usually silenced. For instance, one of the first projects I worked with when I was 18-ish was a project dedicated to the remembrance of the mass repressions carried out by the Stalin regime, the mass execution of intellectual elites, which is a chapter which is completely eradicated from our history books for obvious reasons of promoting this single nation narrative with Russia. So back then, we had musicians involved in this in terms of choosing the verses of the executed poets and making a song out of it. And then we had a whole compilation, we had a concert, and we had so many events connected with that. And we saw how people who literally knew nothing about it would come to see their favorite band perform, because it was not just one song, one band, but it would just be a mix-up concert. And you would see that the people would start to realize that there's more to it than they knew. So like with the music and with the culture, we're trying to plant some seeds, which are hopefully will one day grow. So this is the responsibility that we're trying to carry on.
Yeah, maybe because as I told, we have two festival representatives, and it's much more easier for people to have some connection what like festival is. We participate in festivals, but can you tell us a bit more how the Belarusian Council for Culture work? Yeah, for artists, for culture, what is the background, and what are your way of fighting for art?
Yeah, basically, we began our work in 2020 after the wave of repressions hit after the protests. We had to leave the country, and we had to somehow react to the people forced to leave the country because they were persecuted by the government. So first, it was just the emergency help. Basically, we were trying to help people like legally, psychologically, with a little bit of funds. But then we grew and developed, and it became more about creating an infrastructure, becoming sustainable. So it came down to advocacy, a lot of advocacy, surely, and also building institutions. I will give some short examples. When it comes to advocacy, like I think that it was the first time in ever that the topic of culture became a priority in the support of the European Union when it comes to Belarus, because, well, usually when you have to cut something, the first thing you cut is culture, because, well, it's just entertainment, it's concerts, it's books, whatever. So we were trying to push culture as this decisive agent, as a force to be reckoned with, because you can see how culture today is being weaponized by Russia, for instance. And it's no longer the soft power we used to perceive it as. So right now we're doing this whole project which supports civil society, which supports civil society not only in exile, but civil society inside of Belarus and all the partisan movements, because culture, independent culture, is banned, as you can imagine, and all the resistance which is like on the surface level is being pushed down. But there's a lot of partisan activities happening, there's a lot of gigs, there's a lot of art residencies. So there's still something going on. So we're trying to maintain this connection. We're trying to bridge the gap between those who left and those who stayed. And we are trying to create new ecosystems of support, which is not only just relying on the donor funds and EU funds, but we're also having this crowdfunding strategies. Like we have this project that we call, two projects that we call Magistrati Mecenati. So basically, Magistrates is the project where people support ideas that they believe in with money. with their money. And this is actually a very sustainable project because it's not just like, oh, the money is being given and then it's just like it disappears, like you know how the raccoon with the cotton candy in the water. No, it's like the money works and the money like comes back to support different other projects. And then we have the Philanthropists Club, which is basically trying to engage Belarusian businesses abroad, which also did not think much about culture before, but now they do. So we're trying to engage those private funds as well to support the culture, focusing on the culture inside of the country. Because what we do here is crucial, but it's way more important what they do there inside the country right now. So yeah, that's pretty much how we operate.
But you also like focusing on artists or people working outside of the country.
Yes, of course. So we're trying to build those institutes. For instance, we're trying to make people come together and improve their capacities. Because before 2020 and before this whole exile thing, there was almost no understanding on how to work, like how to self-sustain. Like basically people were relying on like one structure to solve their problems, and now they know that they have to do something themselves. Like we can help them, we can direct them, we can guide them, but we cannot do all of the things for them. So now they know where to go look for opportunities, like how to talk to people, how to write projects proposals. They started to have this like project thinking, not only just like, oh, I want to create something for the sake of something, but like I want to say something and I want to make it count. So yeah, we also work with the people who are outside, but in the project, this huge project that we're having right now with the European Commission, we're focusing on the accessibility of the products that cultural figures are producing inside the country. So it wouldn't be just the culture in exile in itself. So for instance, if there's a book, there should be a way for it to get back to the people inside the country. And yeah, basically that's how we try to sustain the culture on both sides of the border.
Barbora, tell me something more about this making magic of radicalized youth.
Yeah, so you're basically hearing it most probably like Miran's story, you know, being involved in the DIY punk scene. Maybe he wasn't a radicalized kid before. But actually this is the way how it works, because a lot of the radicalized youth they get to be like they are because there is no other outlet, because they cannot engage with their surroundings in any other way. And when you teach them how to do it, their life can change. And basically what we were doing is like giving them the opportunity to have something in common. And music is very, very accessible, very approachable. So we were doing, for example, DJ workshops in areas where there were youth problems. We were making concerts, rap concerts a lot, and giving the kids just chance to experience something together and find a way how to communicate in a way that is making them feel safe, because radicalization happens a lot because the kids are not feeling safe or part of your community. So you give them something to commune over, and that's the way how music can help here. And it's really nice things can happen like that.
But you're doing this like as a festival, yeah?
No.
Doing
I
this-
did it before. I did it before. But festival is really nice thing where it works as well. You know.
What are the I would say the differences, because like workshops is one thing, but I'm curious how during the festival you can have this some social impact.
There are like tons of opportunities, because it's not only the music programming. We probably would talk about a bit later, but we are based on the values, so everything is organized around them. So we are thinking about it when we do ticketing, for example. So we think about how what should be the price of the ticket. Even though you can see gorillas at Pohoda Festival, there should be always an accessible way how to get there. So it's not only the tickets, but it's also the opportunities for the young people to either come and work at the festival, so earn a little bit money, but still have the chance to experience the festival, or you can come as a volunteer, so you'll again work, but not for money this time, and you get to experience the festival even a little more than when you are working. And this is the first thing, because you are entering a community that has values, and when you are there, you are not pushed by any values, but you experience them yourself. We also, for example, have a large number of really young children coming to the festival. It's more than, so we have a 30,000 capacity, and it's more than 3,000 children under 6 years, I think, that are coming to the festival, because we have a huge family zone, you know, and that's nothing political, because we got criticized a lot of being a political festival, but there is nothing political about supporting families and giving the families opportunity to experience the festival also with young kids, and that's socially responsible way of doing things, you know. So you have a special place to camp, you have people that can watch your kids for a while, there are a lot of activities for the children, but still as an adult you can go and experience the festival in a different way. It is also how we work with our partners. So we are very particular about choosing our partners. So not anybody with money can become a festival partner. So we need to share at least the basic values, and we start from that. But then we try to develop the values. So we start to introduce what we do at the festival to the partners, and we try to engage them to help us. So, for example, we do a lot of support to Ukraine causes. So we are asking the companies to pitch in. There was a terrorist attack a few years ago that was directed towards LGBTQ people in our society. We, as a festival, reacted to that. We created a whole stage where the LGBTQ art can present themselves. It's not that we didn't have it before, we have it, and that's also very important for us. That is not only that this is something, so we take it and we put it in one place. No, you can find it everywhere at the festival. But at that time, we felt that it is important to give a spotlight to that, and we were trying to find a partner for that. Unfortunately, for example, in this situation, it didn't work. So we engaged with many also international companies that have LGBTQ support in their social responsibility policies as a company, but you know, at one point, so like for example, those people that are doing the CSR, the company were like perfect, yes, let's do it, that's perfect, and we can do it, and then you know we agreed that would be the program, that would be the money, and then when it got a little bit higher in the company, it got stopped because you know like somebody said like, oh, like just that, like we would like to support everyone, like. Okay, like you are supporting everyone, like we have the children's family place, you know. No. So this is the way how we do it, and sometimes it's harder, sometimes it's easier. And then we have a lot of causes that we believe in, and we try to introduce our visitors to them. For example, we have a great collaboration with the university where they have a course for marketing. And the whole goal for that course is to hire people that will work as volunteers at the festival. So they are making a marketing campaign to hire people to work as volunteers at the festival, and then those volunteers are working at our separation points, where they actually are telling people how to separate waste they create at the festival. So it's a multi-layer structure where you teach different groups of people something that is actually socially responsible.
And how this conversation with potential partners look like? Because I think, and especially in Poland, like one thing is if you have some company which could be a sponsor for the festival. So one very often hard thing is to tell the people like to support the festival because the supporting culture is important, and to have these values just on supporting the festival culture. But I think the other thing is that you can agree on supporting or like have a partnership as you mentioned, but then you try to focus not just on putting a logo on the main stage or somewhere, but to focus on some values. And are this conversation like how they look like? Because it's of what you're saying, it looks like it's not just 1 or 2 meetings, but much more difficult.
Yes, so it's our 30th anniversary this year. So, so the first thing that happens that when somebody meets with us, they already know what we are about. So there is also like a, so for example, for this LGBTQ cause we try to meet people that manage vodka brand, because that brand is making a lot of commercials directed towards support of LGBTQI people, and we are not selling hard liquor at the festival. So approaching a vodka company for us, that was a big step. So big conversations because of the social responsibility, and also that we feel that hard liquor can impact the whole feeling of the festival. Happened inside the team, and then we approached them, and they said like, no, you're joking. So that didn't work out. But usually, and that was a value problem, definitely. So there is a commercial made on a certain value that is not then reflected in the company, and it's a non-starter. Myself, I don't really understand why the companies are putting so much money in the festival, but don't tell them. But so doing event marketing, I think it's very hard from both sides. So we need to go and persuade the people that there is a certain value, and I think.
Can you maybe tell about some good examples of how from the beginning to an end it works?
I don't know if I can remember like a precise, but how it works is it's always that. Maybe we can get back to it later. I can think about like a very specific one. We have a lot of smaller ones with NGOs that I can have from top of my head. But we work, for example, with the European Commission that's giving us a lot of space. Or we have like Swisre. I think it's an international company. You probably know it here. They are working in insurance, and you would never understand. Like from the first side, they are now supporting our NGO zone. And they are doing it for the CSR purposes, They build a culture inside their company where their employees like to have something like that. So they value it in the company. They work with a lot of NGOs. They are giving them money, support, and the employees are involved in that. So they see a potential here to put their logo on the tent, but to also give space to those NGOs that they work with, together with the NGOs we choose as a festival to promote at the festival each year. And this is going on. We were trying to find out somebody for that for a really long period of time. We found Swisre, and it's working really, really good. And they are giving us more and more money, and are giving us ideas how we can expand the promotion of the NGOs and different values at the festival together with us. But basically, as I said, anyone who is getting into the meeting with us knows us. And also, it's very dependent on the people that are the right people at the marketing. So because for me it really okay. So you get an exposure of 30,000 people that will see your brand activation, that can engage with your brand. But if that would be only like having a good mobile phone signal data and charging your phone, that's not something that is going to stick in your head for a long time. So those companies are coming with ways how to engage the people, not only through music, but also through the values we share.
Thank you. Miran, so now I have a question for you. Because I think that very often when there is a showcase or festival, so the music program is one thing, and then when I realize that some festivals start some show like discussion panels, it's, I would say, the first step of making like some kind of social engagement, like, and the signal that you're not only going to listen to music, but you're also going to discuss the topics, the problems, etc., etc. And I participated in MENT 2 times, and there is a huge variety in conference program which you are responsible for. But also when I look at MENT Festival, which happened in Slovenia, for me, partly in some way, is I see in the conference program also a bit in the music this kind of responsibility of the music scene from the Central Europe, maybe a bit from the Central Eastern Europe, and also through the topics which are in the program. So maybe tell me at the beginning how you start working on the conference program, how you map the topics, and how this element of maybe not social responsibility, but some important social aspect like listening music to each regions, like for example this year one of the lectures was about how the streaming platforms work in different part of Europe. How you prepare the program?
Basically, it's a mess. No, maybe just to start, just few coordinates about MENT. So basically, it's a 4-day festival in Ljubljana. It has a conference part and it has a festival part. The capacity, so it's 4 days. Capacity is like, so we have around 600, 700 delegates, like music professionals, and we have like 2,000 and something, let's say, regular visitors of the festival. 4 days, up to 10 stages, depends from day to day. Around 80 artists, let's say, around 100 speakers. So basically, these are just the main coordinates, so you maybe get a basic feeling. So how we start with the... We start with a lot of discussion, brainstorming, analyzing, like evaluating the previous years, what was working, what was not working. But in general, many times we have, I would say, like, we have it. Like many times I see, as a starting point is like, I would say like emerging artists, so young, new artists from suburbia of Europe, I would call it. This could be Poland, this could be Macedonia or Slovenia, so not the issues that the new artists in the France or Western Europe have, but the issues that maybe new artists from Slovenia or Serbia or Poland could have. Like, so that's why we also musical program and conference program. So we basically have, let's say, I would say we have 1/3 of the artists is from Slovenia, 1/3 of the artists, or maybe even more, is from, let's say, Balkans and like this Eastern Europe, and then maybe 1/3 is from Western Europe. So it's also within the musical program, it's kind of this balance, let's say, and also with the conference program, we try to, so, you know, integrate like professionals from this region, maybe in a similar rate, and always like let's try to discuss things that are relevant for the local market, regional market, and for this type of. But of course, sometimes you go a little out. Also, sometimes we're like, okay, we are still, you know, small event with small effects, so maybe we will not be, you know, discussing and solving the issue of Universal being bought by I don't know who, because we really don't have an influence. So maybe it's better to speak about, like, you know, venues, infrastructures in the Balkans and stuff like that, where we can come up with some concrete solutions and ideas for the people who can do that. And then, yes, you know, it's a puzzle basically. But yeah, we try to integrate, and like many times also within the musical program and also within the conference program, we try to integrate. I would say if we maybe talking about really locally, we try to integrate like the local scenes, different, let's say, niche scenes or niche communities. So they kind of, maybe sometimes we dedicate some stage or some part of the conference to some niche community. I don't know, like, analog, modular, blah, blah, I don't know, community that is quite, I don't know, celebrating maybe some anniversary. So let's dedicate part of the conference to them. Let's give them a stage. And then they kind of feel incorporated in the event, and they also spread the, kind of promote the event this way. And also, like we said, okay, so you're doing a specific thing. We can bring some people to Ljubljana, give us ideas, who should we invite? Okay, there is one guy, there is some community in, I don't know, UK, there is a community in Italy. And we're like, okay, let's invite them over to Ljubljana, so you make connections and something can happen with it. And then they kind of feel, I would say they kind of feel that festival is doing something useful for them, and they kind of feel incorporated. Also, maybe another interesting part of MEN that's comparing to other showcase events in Europe, we have a special program dedicated to electronic music. So basically on Friday and Saturday we do part of the conference, and part of the musical program is dedicated to electronic music. So basically we're also, because within the team, the younger people from the team are more into electronic music, let's say. So we kind of, integrate lots of these different scenes in the event and stuff like that. So we try to always think about how to make we see the event, I would say, like as a meeting point of all these different communities where they can find something for them, and just be the meeting point, and everybody see the value in it in a way.
Yeah, and what moment you realized that MENT could be some kind of platform for the scenes here for the region? Because I can say it from the perspective of Poland, that for a very long time, at the end of 90s or at the beginning of the century, we were looking so much for the Western Europe, for going for the festivals, for inviting the artists from Western Europe, mostly. Then there were, of course, at one moment protest of Polish artists that like, for example, the biggest stars are playing in the prime time, and Polish artists, for example, are playing just after the breakfast, and no one can see them because all of the people came for the evening. But except the program, I mean, and for me, man, for last 5 or 6 years, it's like rising more and more as the showcase in the Central Europe, and also through the program, as you mentioned, but also through the conference program. It puts the focus more on what is happening in this part of Europe, and I also do believe that this is important also by write articles about it, like speaking that you're not only talking about how the Western media works, but how the ecosystem in the Central Europe can work. And at what moment you realize that there is some kind of, that people need this kind of conversation and platform, and here in this place, because I do believe that also the place, that fact that it's happened in Ljubljana, like change the perspective. You don't look from the London on the topic, from the London perspective, or from the Paris on Europe perspective, but from Ljubljana or from the Balkan perspective.
I would say from the start, but maybe through years we just got confirmation that since my other hat is like running a record label and a booking agency with artists from former Yugoslavia for like 20-something years, so I had first-hand experience how hard it is like to send the artists on the international tour and be just being recognized internationally. So basically, also when setting up the conference, I have my own personal experience of what is working and what is not working, and maybe some ABC tutorials which might work in Netherlands doesn't really work in Slovenia or in Poland. So basically, it's not that we shouldn't learn from them, but it's also adapting to our own like situation. Like maybe we don't have this influential media, maybe just knowing that you can send artists from this region to all these Western festivals, but it's super hard to get really to attract attention there. because the competition is huge, and yeah, let's be concrete and direct. Like many people doesn't care about the band from Serbia or whatever, or Estonia or whatever. So basically, you have to struggle. So basically, it's for us. It's also like we really want to, kind of pick up what we find the most exciting artists from the Slovenia, Balkans, Eastern Europe, and basically show them to the also Western professionals. And because maybe mentioning the media, it's like we always also invite like journalists from Western medias, like UK press, let's say it, to Slovenia to see all these artists and write to them, because many times, and if also again from my own experience, my own artists were the only time they were mentioned in these Western UK medias were through reviews of the showcase festivals, because they have a great show and then somebody wrote, okay, this was the great, and this is basically the only mentioned as a small unknown act from our region you can get. So. And these are like small pieces of the puzzle that we try to, how to, like I said, we always have this artist in our mind when we do stuff like, and that's also within the musical program, we always think, okay, how to put them at the right time, on the right stage, that basically it works. It's, I don't know. But I think maybe like, from how I see, it's like it's lots of dedication and passion from our booking team, that they really like, pick the right stuff and think like it's not just, yeah, it's showcase, let's just put this act on some stage and then if something happens, nobody cares. It's really, we try to make it work for the artists and also do the follow-up and then to see the results and then if they got the booking afterwards. Also like thinking who of this Western professional who could book them for some festival or agents or whatever, who to invite, who is genuinely interested in these upcoming acts, like not just coming to Ljubljana for a touristic trip, let's say.
And because in your lineup there are not like huge or pop stars, I would say. And in Poland, if we look at, of course, it depends of how we understand it. But I mean, pop stars may be a bit comparing to Pohoda, but I would like to also speak about it later. But very often, if there are cases of Polish showcases, there are a lot of rising bands, etc., etc. But people put on the lineup like the pop stars to catch the people's attention. So I'm curious, like for the last few years, how do you see this attention of people, like from visitors, but also from the music business or music industry people? Like, do you see the attention is growing or it's changing? Because it's much more easier to get the attention of people from Eurosonic in Netherlands because they are known for very many years, and when you at one moment establish something new in the other place, how it developed for the last few years?
I mean, like I said, we instead of using the showcase festival, we really like to call ourselves like Festival of Music Discovery, because the reality is that for the majority of the audience, the local audience, they don't know the acts we're bringing, so they don't have a clue, basically. So we are the ones who are introducing, and this could be also our social responsibility to make them discover new acts, educate them about music and stuff. So basically, for example, this year we did it for the first time that we start selling the blind tickets. So basically, without announcing any artists, and we sold 100. We said, okay, we'll send 100 tickets of these blind tickets. We sell them in one day, which means like the local audience trust our curation. There's also the feedback that we get from the audience is just we don't know who, whatever it's written, we don't know them in advance. So basically, we just trust that we will follow some schedule and we will discover like some new acts that we love, and that's kind of the mission. And from the side of music professionals, I think also the ones who are following for more years already discovered that the curation is maybe a little more edgy, maybe really that there is a lot of effort to put into curation. So basically, that they come to meant to discover new stuff. So basically, it's always a trust. I would like they say that, yeah, the one who is suggesting your new music is really valuable person. Like, so I think that through year that we kind of built this trust also from the people from the industry, and that's why it's kind of sometimes it's also maybe easier to invite people to, I mean, they're willing to come if we invite them, because they see that they will discover also from their side, because maybe the curation is a little bit different than on the other showcase events, so they know that they might discover something new. And I think this is the way also for us to go, because we see that and in the end also the whole vibe of the event is kind of the welcoming, and then if there is good music, there is a good vibe, then the magic happens, and also from the business side.
So it's again about magic. Barbora, because I now asked Miran about this, pop stars, and you mentioned Gorillaz who were playing at your festival this year, and now I'm curious, how do you balance this scale and visibility of major festival with remain of being authentic? And to be honest, we were speaking with Michał about the topic of the conversation, about who we can invite. Like at first moment when it was you and the huge festival, I would not connect like the huge festival, some kind of social responsibility to the topic. Of course, there are different aspects, but I'm curious, about the one aspect of like just having entertainment, like, or the name of the bands which get people attention, and the other thing that yeah, I mean this authentic level of the social things which you are doing. How you try to have this balance of this between these two points? Is it
Yeah. So once again, the values come in. So we approach the programming the same way as we approach the festival as such. So our first goal isn't to make money. We don't make any money, by the way. It's about what we want to see and how we want what we want the music to be, because at the end, when we are inviting Gorillaz, we need to think about the money aspect. So it's a lot of money. So we kind of at least a little bit need to be sure that we are going to sell enough tickets to pay for the band, because otherwise we couldn't do it the next year. And we made a huge step with Gorillaz actually this year, because that's going to be the most expensive band in our history. I don't know, at least two times as much money as we previously gave for the most expensive band we had. And we see the tickets rising, the sale of the tickets. So maybe we need to meet again in a year time to see how this is going to affect our programming, because by now we didn't have anything of such a value that it's going to be a game changer maybe in the way how we think about the programming. But basically, back to the question is, the festival grew from really small event in Trenčín. It's not even in capital. It is in the big city in Slovakia, just because as a counterweight to the socialist and communist culture that was very prohibitive. That was, you need to come and play in front of the commission to get the permission to play for the public, and then only certain bands passed that benchmark, and then you could see only those bands. And Michal, he didn't like that. He wanted to make an event with the bands he liked. So he started Pohoda, and every year he's inviting the bands he likes. And it took us some time to invite the first international band. So the event grew from the local roots, and now yes, we need to think a little bit differently about the programming because it's maybe not so natural, but the values still stuck with us. So it's the music we like, but then we also are very eager to give chance to young artists, and also we are supporting a local scene. Maybe without even thinking about it. So there is always the folklore group of the children from the city. There are always artists from Trenčín. We have a stage that is completely dedicated to young acts. It's called Garage because it's an actual garage as a tribute to the place where all bands started at one point, and those are completely unknown young bands. And because of the atmosphere of the festival, people like to meet these things that are thrown around the festival. I don't think there are many visitors that come to Pohoda only to see the headliners and didn't experience anything else. This is the programming side. Then the other side that is helping us to give the chance and the platform to the young or underrepresented is, by the way, how we build these other aspects of the festival. So I talked about it already, giving a chance to the families to come. The thing that we don't sell hard liquor, it's creating a really good vibe at the festival. So the people feel safe there and want to spend time there. So we don't have many visitors that come and go home at one point. Most of our visitors, they stay for 4 days of the festival. So once you are there, you are more keen to find out what's that band that you never heard about sounds like, because there is nothing else at 2 in the afternoon. And we actually, the thing you were talking about, we get that a lot, like the quarrels of the local bands, that we don't give them enough space, we don't give them good slots, and we treat them differently than we treat the international bands. And those feelings are valid, as all feelings in the world are valid. But then you need to, and it's nobody would consider that to be a work, but actually it's work, that you engage with those people and you explain why you do the things the way you do. So it's not like, okay, you don't want to play it in the afternoon, then okay, you don't play at the festival at all. We explain why we think the slot is good, why we think this and that. Like this year, for example, we are moving artists that played certain slots to different slots, because you played that slot, so now you can, and we do that a lot. So, and we do it in the discussion with the artists. We, for example, had a lot of backlash that we don't treat them in the backstage good enough. But that's not true. They don't realize, like you are coming to the festival from having a Sunday lunch at your mother's house. So yes, maybe we give you a little bit less, but you need to imagine that those people are coming and they haven't been at home for 3 months. That's maybe you feel like we are giving them a little bit more. We are giving them a little bit more because we think it's necessary for them to continue doing what they are doing. So also like doing a lot of engagement with the artists is important. For example, I do all the contracting, and I am so dissatisfied with the school system, how it is actually teaching young people about economics and about employment, and I'm substituting that work. So a lot of bands that know how to do business now know it because of our festival, because somebody told them what is a contract, how it should look like, and how and yeah, taxes. Yeah, it's stupid stupid, you know, from certain perspective, but it's so important for the whole ecosystem to work, and you wouldn't say so, but in my opinion, that's the way how we support each other. You know, I actually know how the taxes work, so I'm here to explain to anybody. I do so many tax declaration for musicians that yeah, I do tens of them. You know, just because I became friends with the people and they didn't know how to do it, and that's my story. That gets into the way how the festival works. So everybody in the team thinks the same, have their own values that are in line with the festival values, and the festival is based on those values, and we make all the decision based on the values. We want to survive, so sometimes we talk about money, but we don't talk about money enough actually.
So before I pass the microphone to you, I would like to ask you, Alina, a question as we just speak about money and about long history of Pohoda, 30 years long, quite a long history of MENT Festival. But you mentioned that you started 6 years ago, also as a non-government organization, also. Not as the festivals, you are not connected just to one dedicated space. It works quite different. How do you how do you work for to be financially stable, to have founding, and how it looks like in your case?
We're not financially stable. That's the whole thing. Like, we're trying to get there, but being an organization without like being an institution in exile, we heavily rely on so many factors. Like, we are trying to build this system where we would one day be in a situation where we will not be dependent on the external projects or external like philanthropists or anything. But right now we are just, I think, living in today a little bit and hoping for the better. So if you're asking me like if there's a special way to make culture profitable and self-sustainable, I don't think that, as with Pohoda, we're not making any money. So we're just trying to help as much as we can and, well, see what the future brings us.
Okej, czy są jakieś pytania z publiczności? Bo teraz jest ten moment. Wiem, że niektórzy takie mają. Nikt nie ma pytań? So maybe because it's almost like an hour of the meeting, I think that if some of our participants here will have some questions, they can ask you on the backstage. And because there were a lot of different topics here, but I'm very happy that we can spoke about different aspects of being socially responsible on different levels, from like grassroots working to the medium scale festivals to large scale festivals. But I would like to thank you for your perspectives, for your point of view. Once again, I would like to thank Institute of Adama Mickiewicza. And anyway, if you don't have questions now, feel free to ask our visitors after. They are very friendly. They are coming for concerts as well. So thank you very much once again.